It gets rid of the need for God.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start again with you, Robert. How is the belief that humans are nothing more than mutated animals, and therefore unresponsible for their actions and urges, beneficial to society? This belief devalues human life and responsibility and takes away consequences for immoral and selfish behavior. How is the devaluement of human life beneficial to anyone?
I don't think I devalue human life. I think I elevate human life. I don't think you have to believe in the Creator to believe in the sanctity, if that's the word you want to use, of human life. It's the only life we know. And why do we obey laws? Because we form a society. If we didn't live in a society, we didn't need each other, we wouldn't have to have any laws. We could be immoral and stand out in a vacuum and be immoral. The reason we have laws is to govern our conduct toward each other. In my opinion, it's nothing more than a whole mass of material that says, let's follow the golden rule. And why do we follow the golden rule? We follow the golden rule because it's best for you and it's best for me. I don't see where a creator is essential to all this. Thank you.
In his area of law, laws are necessary because man is flawed. Man was created good, but man is flawed. C.S. Lewis probably put it best when he struggled with this idea of the unjust universe. My argument against God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust, but how had I got this idea of just and unjust? A man doesn't call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. What was I comparing this universe with when I called it unjust? If the whole show was bad and senseless from A to Z, so to speak, why did I, who was supposed to be part of the show, find myself in such violent reaction against it? A man feels wet when he falls into water because man isn't a water animal. A fish wouldn't feel wet. In fact, he went on to say this. Of course, I could have given up my idea of justice by saying it was nothing but a private idea of my own. If I did that, then my argument against God collapsed too, for the argument depended on saying that the world was really unjust, not that it just didn't happen to please my private fancies. Thus, in the very act of trying to prove that God didn't exist, in other words, that the whole of reality was senseless, I found I was forced to assume that one part of reality, namely my idea of justice, was full of sins.
Okay, Bill, this question's for you for 2 minutes. Do you think that the theory of intelligent design should be taught in a public school science curriculum, and why?
Do I believe that the theory of intelligent design should be taught in the public school classroom? Is that the question? Okay. And why? Or why not? I believe what ought to be taught in science is good science. We ought to train students in good science and let them decide which model best fits the evidence. Science or science education flourishes when there is a decision to be made, when a student has to decide which model better fits the evidence. If I just feed them one or the other to the exclusion of the other, then all I have to do is regurgitate on the test the answers I've already given them. Education flourishes when there is tension. So what should be taught is good science, and then both models, the model of creation versus the model of evolution, should be presented, and the student should decide. I think we ought to teach good science.
I think the theory of evolution ought to be taught in the public schools as long as it's a science. But if and when it becomes not a science, or not subject to peer review, not subject to a consensus of the scientific community, then it shouldn't be taught in the public schools. I don't think intelligent design is science. I think it's creationism. I think it's religion. I think if you put intelligent design in the public, first of all, I don't think it should be in a science class, because I don't think it's science. But I don't think it should be in the public school, and the reason is this. You can teach it in your home, you can teach it in your church. If you start putting this stuff in the public school, How many different theories of man are we going to have in the public school? You're going to have people coming out of the woodwork. You're going to have the Buddhists coming out. You're going to have the Muslims coming out. You're going to have people coming out of the woodwork. And you'll have everybody's theory of where we came from and what's happened to us and how we developed and so forth. Teach it at home, teach it in your churches, but keep it out of the public schools. It doesn't have anything to do with public education.
Thank you, Robert. This is your question. Can you all hear me at all back there? No. I'll speak this way. You said our Constitution is secular in nature. What about the Declaration of Independence, which states that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that man was endowed by his Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Take it away, Robert.
Yes, sir. The founders, Thomas Jefferson was a deist. He believed in God. Most of the founders of our republic believed in God. Maybe they all believed in God. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence with some of help from other deists. I don't think Benjamin Franklin believed in God. He might have been an atheist. I don't know. But the reason why they wrote a secular constitution for a secular government